Elias Thorne's life was a meticulously crafted tapestry, one thread mundane, the other thrillingly dangerous. By day, he was Dr. Elias Thorne, a respected, if somewhat reserved, art historian at the National Gallery. His office, a sanctuary of hushed whispers and dusty tomes, reeked faintly of old paper and quiet ambition. His evenings, however, belonged to Silas, a ghost in the city's underbelly, a master forger whose replicas were so perfect they could fool even the most astute experts. It had started innocently enough, a youthful rebellion against the rigid expectations of his academic family. What began as a thrill, a challenge to his own prodigious artistic talent, soon morphed into a lucrative, almost addictive, second career. He never forged for greed, he told himself, but for the thrill of the deception, the intellectual chess match against the art world he simultaneously revered and subtly mocked. His two lives were separated by an intricate web of routines and aliases. Elias drove a sensible, slightly dented sedan. Silas preferred a sleek, nondescript motorcycle. Elias wore tweed jackets. Silas favored dark, tailored leather. Even their apartments were strategically located on opposite sides of the city, each a sterile, impersonal space designed to leave no trace of the other. The trouble began with the lost Vermeer, a painting Elias himself had authenticated for a wealthy, notoriously ruthless collector named Julian Vance. Unbeknownst to Elias, Vance had commissioned Silas to create a flawless replica, intending to replace the original with the fake and then claim the true masterpiece had been stolen. Silas, always meticulous, had spent months on the Vermeer, perfecting every brushstroke, every subtle shift in light. It was, he privately admitted, his finest work. The exchange went flawlessly, or so Silas thought. But a week later, a junior curator at the National Gallery, a bright-eyed young woman named Clara Jensen, approached Elias with a puzzled frown. "Dr. Thorne," she began, holding up a high-resolution photograph of the Vermeer. "Something's off. Look at the signature, the slight discoloration in the corner. It's almost imperceptible, but it's there." Elias's blood ran cold. The discoloration she pointed to was a minuscule, almost invisible error he had deliberately introduced into Silas's forgeries, a secret signature only he could recognize. This meant Vance had somehow kept the replica and sold the original, or worse, someone else had replaced the authentic Vermeer with Silas's forgery. The thought made his stomach lurch. His two lives, once so carefully compartmentalized, were beginning to bleed into each other. Clara, oblivious to his internal turmoil, continued, "I've been cross-referencing it with other known Vermeers, and I just can't shake the feeling. It's like a near-perfect copy, but with one tiny, almost unnoticeable flaw." The irony was a bitter taste in his mouth. He, Elias Thorne, was now tasked with investigating his own masterpiece of deception. He had to lead Clara away from the truth, to discredit her observations without raising suspicion. Each day became a tightrope walk. He found himself subtly sabotaging her research, planting misinformation, and downplaying her concerns. The stress began to take its toll. Sleep became a luxury, replaced by restless nights filled with nightmares of exposed identities and shattered reputations. He started forgetting details, mixing up his aliases, almost calling Clara by Silas's preferred nickname for his clients. His meticulous routines began to crumble. One evening, after a particularly grueling day of diverting Clara, Elias, as Silas, received an urgent message from a frantic Julian Vance. "The police are asking questions about the Vermeer," Vance snarled over the encrypted line. "They have a lead on a new forgery ring. Someone tipped them off about a unique signature, a tiny, almost invisible mark." Silas felt a cold dread creep up his spine. The jig was up. His safeguard had become his undoing. He was no longer playing a game, he was fighting for survival. The next morning, as Elias Thorne, he found a note on his desk. It was from Clara. "Dr. Thorne," it read, "I found something definitive. A chemical analysis of the Vermeer's paint pigments reveals a modern additive, one that wasn't available in Vermeer's time. The painting is a forgery. And what's more, the analysis found a unique trace element, almost like a deliberate, artistic fingerprint. Elias looked at the note, then at the phone, then at the window overlooking the bustling city. The two worlds he had so carefully constructed were not just intertwining. They were colliding violently. He had spent his life crafting illusions, and now, his own identity was the greatest illusion of all, threatening to shatter and expose the man beneath. The weaver's knot had become a noose, tightening with every passing moment.